Hey, how you going, everyone? Lives. They're always fun to do these lives. So, welcome everyone to the international book launch of System. Sorry, 5 Systems of Successful People. It's the 5 in System 1357, and I've been so excited to get this finally off the mark and launched globally. So, it's been a lot of work, 30 years in the making. 4 years in preparation and 12 months in writing, and it's finally live, and people are buying it. Well, I won't say from all over the world, but a little bit of a brag. Why not? It's been the USA, it's been India, it's been Australia, and it's been the UK so far that have bought the books, and Canada. So it's starting to get a bit of penetration globally, which is pretty cool. But anyway, we'll call that global. Hey, how's that sound? So today I'm going to launch the books. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to be here for any questions. You'll be able to ask whatever you like about the book. There's 5 systems in there. They're all just as important as each other. The one that's the most popular, though, is time duplication. The one that's the most intriguing is sugar and cream. But the one that probably made me the most money was the business of thirds. But they're all just as important as each other. So we're going to get into it. Now, I've got a couple of guests today. I just saw a quick message here. How you going, Josh? Good to see you, mate. Great to see you online. Got a couple of guests today going to jump in and help share the story. A couple of them helped me with writing the book, and a couple of them have been a part of the journey ever since I started sharing on social media what the 5 systems were. So what I might do is actually grab a couple who are in the back room just now and get them on board. Meantime, tell us where you're from. Tell us in the chat where you're from. If you bought the book already, what you like about it, what your favorite system is. I'm here today to help answer any questions that you might have. So, all right, let's just start here. Here's Randy. Let's introduce Randy McNeely. Now, I'll start with Randy. Welcome to the book launch, Randy.
Good evening or good morning for you, Scotty. Good evening for me. Good evening and wherever you may be. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Scotty.
You're welcome, mate. Hey, listen, what people don't know is you get a cameo in the book at the start because you're one of the people that helped me edit the book.
Well, and it was a real pleasure. Scotty, here's a guy who understands what it takes to build a business, and not just any business, but build a business that is 1.2 trillion. Is that what it was?
$1.125 trillion. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I figure, he reached out to me and asked me if I'd take a look at his book so he could share the great information that helped him to build his business and be successful. And I thought, my goodness, what an honor. I'm happy to do it. So I appreciate you, Scotty.
In fact, when you read chapter 1, it's perfect business judo, what we did together.
Yep. Taking advantage of the opportunities that you have with other people and working together to make good things happen.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Hey, so it's so good to have you on the team, Randy. And you and I have been talking now for what, 3 years, something like that. It's been a few years now.
Since 2019.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? It's been good fun. Now through all that COVID stuff, we've been chatting and talking and helping out grow the business. So you've seen the growth of this, which has been excellent. So good to have you on the team, mate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, let's also introduce Andrew Third. Andrew Third's in the back room as well. How you going, Andrew?
Good, thanks. How's everyone going?
Awesome. Hey, listen, we've been dealing with each other for a while. You started a success hub like I have in Sawtell in Sydney called Core Success Network now, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I've been, loving the whole 5 systems, and I guess that's the thing, just molding it, picking out pieces, and bringing it together and making success.
Yeah, it's been good. Been good to be on the journey, and you've got a partner as well that you get together and work with. So full collaboration with Sandro.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting with like-minded people and having similar visions.
And I know your favourite system's the business of thirds, right?
It is. I was just looking at the book, and because I'm not actually up to this part in the book yet, but I realised it was chapter 3 as well. Business of thirds, chapter 3, like seeing numbers everywhere.
It's the system, right? It's the system. Hey, do you want to know a little secret between me and you? Because no one else here is watching, right?
There's no one else here, right?
No. You know why I've always used 3 little emojis on LinkedIn when I like people's posts?
Why have you always used 3?
Because it's the 3. I've been sowing that seed for years, and no one's caught on to it. So you're the first one that I've shared it with. So, hey, another person in the back room too is Terry B. What's that?
say I just learned something too. So it's good.
So I've got Terry Bean in the background. Terry and I have known each other for a long time as well, right? So I'll introduce Terry, and Terry can come and introduce himself.
Hey, Scotty, it's nice to be here, man, and
congratulations
on the book. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed the deeper dive in all the ideas, but I got to tell you, as a guy that's been practicing networking for the last 30 years, business judo is definitely my favorite. Definitely my favorite.
Yeah, it's it's sort of how I started too in business. It's dead set how I started, a very deliberate action to do business judo. And when you read the book, I explain what I actually did to collaborate and leverage. And it's just something, I think everyone does it, but the difference is I try to help them know that it's a deliberate action. So you've done lots of things over there. Tell us what you've done with your networking and the way you've grown your businesses over there.
Well, I'm outside of Detroit, Michigan, the Motor City to the rest of the world. And, about 15 years ago, the city wasn't doing that well. American Auto they'd fallen asleep at the wheel, for let's call it what it was, and didn't realize the upsurge of all the other manufacturers around the globe. So Detroit was going down, and the big three weren't going to save us. So we decided we need to start an entrepreneurial class. So I started one of the first groups worldwide that focused on being hyper-local, both online and in the real world, called Motor City Connect. And since then, we've helped thousands of people find new clients, new jobs, new training, new information, new ideas to grow their business. And then launched a little thing called TEDx Detroit. That's one of the largest and longest running TED Talk series independently produced. That's the X on the planet, man. We've been doing it. This year will be 14 years. So it's been a great run.
Yeah, awesome. I knew you'd like business judo.
I live it, man. I live it. That's why you and I connected, saw each other's posts on LinkedIn, and it's you go back and look at the history, and it's almost like we shared part of the same brain. But if you don't have a copy of this, get yourself a copy of this. It's time well spent, man. You will learn things for sure. This guy's a heck of a teacher.
100%.
Come up with a cool analogy for, we always say, yeah, he walks the talk, right? He does what he says he's going to do, but we need he rides the wave or something that's surfing related, man.
Something that's surf related, because Scott is like the surfing master. So,
I did my head in for years trying to come up with a surfing analogy that worked, and I couldn't do it. So I stuck with business, and business works, right?
Business works.
Business. Yeah, I get just as much of a challenge out of business as I do surfing.
The other area that is so awesome, Scotty, is the time duplication, and being able to duplicate yourself, duplicate your products, duplicate the things that you're doing in order to be able to duplicate your money. And it's such that whole chapter is fantastic. It's so practical, easy to learn, easy to implement, useful. And it goes right along with what you say when you say work harder, smarter, not harder. Oh,
yeah. No problems with working hard, but you want to be able to work smart. And the end of 10 years have a lot to show for that effort. And that's where time duplication comes into it. And like I say, it's the one thing every successful business person understands. They duplicate themselves, they duplicate their products, and they duplicate their money. 100%. It is also proving to be the most popular chapter as well. So it is proving to be the most popular chapter. A lot of people are really loving that chapter. It's hitting home for them to go, that's what I've got to do. And that's perfect. Job done. So happy about that. So now in the back room, we've also got Erica. Okay, so Erica's, I'll let Erica introduce herself. I spent a bit of time with Erica just yesterday doing a recording for her. So let's introduce Erica as well.
Hello, all. I thought I'd pop in from America just to say I love your system 1357, and I think it is excellent for us coaches to use to have a system to teach people how to move their business forward. So, yay.
So good to have you here. Hey, we spent a bit of time yesterday. I think it was a half-hour call that we did 2 hours, but anyway.
Yeah,
So going back to you, Andrew,
Yep.
what's your favourite system apart from the business of thirds?
Apart from business of thirds,
Yeah.
well, that's the one that's just been focused on at the moment. I mean, they've all got bits and pieces in there of gold, and that's what I'm finding is it's just going through a lot of it's just resonating, and I don't. At the moment, I'm just so focused on business of thirds. Yeah, I think all the systems they work together and come together. So if I had to, I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about them, but I guess, I mean, I'm a connector in that. So looking at like business judo, I think is perfect. That resonates with me as much as business of thirds because of the name. I know. So I think business judo. We all actually do it. So once you read it, you've probably touched on it in different areas. So
Yeah.
check it out.
I mean, I ask a lot of people so I ask people nowadays, what's your system that you use in business? What's the system you use in sales, or what's the system you use in leadership? And most people don't actually have a system, a procedure, how to manage the wins and losses, the timings, So the system 1357 has been built just for that. And the business of thirds, the reason why I say it made me more money than anything else was because people can easily manage the easy comes and the easy goes. But it's actually being able to tap into all the business opportunities in the middle is where the business of thirds works. And that's where it comes into its own. And when I explained to people that the ReNet software was for the opportunities in the middle, people went, okay, I need ReNet. And System 1357 is for exactly the same reason. Not for the easy comes, not for the easy goes. It's for all the business opportunities in the middle. That's where System 1357 will help. And this book's the 5. And I'll probably ask everyone today what they want me to do next, whether it's the 1, the 3, or the 7. But anyway, or sales. But yeah, that's where the 5 comes into it. So that's why the business of thirds made me more money than just about anything else, because I understood how to actually maximize on it myself and how to teach that to people so they can maximize it for their opportunities as well. So going back to that, Randy, when you read the book, when you first got it, I know you knew a bit about the book in the first place, but when you first read it and then you start to get into the other systems, because I knew you were all over business judo in the first place and time duplication, what did you think of the other 3 systems that you hadn't really tapped into or heard of before?
Well, I need to. You've got so much great information. I really focused on the business judo and time duplication, and so it's a hard question for me to ask right now or to answer, Scotty.
That's all right. No problems, because I know when we read through it, I know you were saying that you were getting right into it. And that was at Christmas time, right? So that was like 6 months ago. So I don't expect you to remember everything because it was a while ago now.
Well, it was a little while ago, but I should remember it better than I do.
I think that's great that Randy's obviously focused on a couple of different areas to what I've focused on as well, but going through it, and then how can we also collaborate together to what do we find in each of those systems?
Well, what I wouldn't mind doing now is spending some time just going through the 5 systems. And for the sake of it, we'll go through them in order because, well, they're chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But once again, there's no order of priority to the systems, right? There's no one that's more important than the other. There's one that might resonate with you more now than later, but later on it'll be a different system that'll have more importance for you. But we'll just go through them chronologically. How's that sound? So business judo, that's your positive mental attitude, your collaboration, leverage, win-win-win, and building a network. And some of you may not have noticed, but the book starts with attitude and it ends with attitude. So it starts with a positive mental attitude and being able to turn negatives into positives, or being able to turn adversity into advantages. Okay, being able to flip the narrative so that way things don't get you down, because something goes wrong all the time, right? We always have adversity, but it's the positive mental attitude that makes successful people successful. And then it ends with attitude as well, because sugar and cream is probably primarily an attitude as opposed to a system, even though it's still a system. So the book starts with positive mental attitude and finishes with the sugar and cream system. Collaboration. Yep.
I'm going to throw that out there, Scotty. You asked what was the other part that I really liked was the sugar and cream, because of exactly what you just said, because it rounds out the positive mental attitude that you're trying to put forward in the book.
Yeah, exactly. So that's excellent. Well said. Because, I try to set the theme. And when you go to the rule of 100, people said, why haven't I got the index in the first page or two? Because when you read the rule of 100 chapter, you'll understand why I started with some of that impact first. Because that's the reason. And that's the whole point of it. It became my book. I didn't want someone telling me how to write the book. So, but yeah, so when you first started the book, that's the sort of impact it was supposed to have with you. That's exactly what it was supposed to do. So going back to, how you going, Fanny? Good to see you from Dallas. We've been connected for a long time. Can't wait to get to Dallas one day. I've got so many connections over there. It's going to be awesome when I finally get there. But going back into the business judo and the collaboration, the next one is leverage, and that's leveraging opportunities, okay, and making sure you maximize on those. The win-win-win I get asked about a lot. What's win-win-win? I mean, Stephen Covey talks about win-win. So what's win-win-win? And it's really just that extra 1%. It's doing a full 360-degree view on everybody involved and making sure that everybody wins. Rather just me and you talking, going, okay, this is good for both of us, but have I done a full 360-degree view of everybody involved? It's that extra 1%, that attention to detail to make sure that everybody's winning. And that's what win-win-win is all about. Successful people do that. Because if not everybody's winning, if someone's losing, there's going to be a loss somewhere. So you've got to make sure everybody's winning. And obviously network. I mean, you guys are all practicing this today. Everyone that's here, everyone that's putting comments in the chat, telling us where they're from, everyone that's live, we're all networking. We're all collaborating. We're all leveraging off this live. So everyone's doing a form of business judo today, which is awesome. So business judo was one of the biggest things I did. When you read the book, I talk about how I actually did that to start the business, but with business judo rather than just, what I say is the 5 topics, how I actually used that so everyone won. And it was a good little story. So you'll enjoy that part of the book. So that's business judo. Once again, it starts with attitude. The thing with business judo and time duplication is both of those systems do actually require you to do something. So with time duplication, let me go on to time duplication. This is proving to be the most popular system, like I said, because it's probably the most aha moment people have. It's the moment where they go, okay, I get it now. I've got to duplicate myself. I've got to make products that I don't have to keep making. And I've got to make my money make more money. So it's the aha moment that most people have with time duplication. But it is the one thing, like I said, that every successful person understands: time duplication. I go into it with a few graphs and a few pretty pictures as well. Somewhere in here, where is it? So we're going to find a pretty picture for you. There's the one you spoke about earlier, Terry, with the pricing and stuff. So I do mention that, even though it's not primarily about the thirds, it's part of the thirds. And I also go into what scaling the business looks like. Okay. And your revenues over 10 years and things like that. So if I can find the right pages, there's the third of the thirds. So it's all in the book. It will explain how to actually maximize on the business of thirds and where your opportunities layers really are. And then I go, sorry, I jumped onto thirds, didn't I? Duplication. Where am I? Here's the graphs I was looking for. So this is an example of how time duplication, when you get it, exponentially grows your opportunities and exponentially grows your returns. And that's what duplication is all about. It's 1% this year, 1% next year, 10% this year, 10% next year, and it continues to grow and explode. So it's the aha moment people have with time duplication. And that's why it's the most popular. I've got a poll on System 1357, the website, where people can nominate, and it's already proving the most popular system that people are going, yes, that's the one. So I'm really thankful that people get just that one system, because if there's one thing they can do to create wealth, it's duplicate themselves, duplicate their products, and duplicate their money. 100%. Someone here said it was their favorite too. Who was that?
The time duplication.
Yeah. Was it you that
That's
said it?
mine.
It was you that said it,
me.
was it? Yeah.
Randy.
Because you've written some books, and that's one of the sort of things which is time duplication, right, Randy?
Yep. Because you write the book, but then I don't have to keep rewriting it. It's there for people to buy and purchase, and they can continue to do so for as long as they will.
Yeah. Yep. And if every year you can build more and more and more of those income streams, the better off you are, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
A great
absolutely.
great way to use time duplication would be take some of the content out of that book, repurpose it for social media posts, and then you can sell the book or announce to folks what you know and where your talents and skills lie that can be of value to them too. So it's
Yeah.
a good marketing strategy.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
I'm repurposing it for programs that I'm using to speak with organizations and individuals and things like that. So you're exactly right.
Love it.
Foundation for several programs.
And even the session I did yesterday with Erica, right? So with Erica, that was about basically time duplication. We did this interview, and she's going to reuse and repurpose that everywhere, right?
Absolutely. You were live, and then we'll cut that up and make that into small bites as well. And then hopefully, I will get a few one-liners out of there to post in articles as well. So absolutely. I want to go on record in saying business judo is actually my favorite part of your book, and this is why. Yesterday in our interview, you said that people always want to hear about your adversity, your stories of how did you get over X point to X point? Because the reality is that's what makes the difference between success and failure. We're all going to fall down. But how do we get back up, and what do we do with ourselves once we get back up is the biggest is the game changer. And you've managed to be able to not only do that, but to turn negatives into advantages, and that's huge.
Yeah, well, I was lucky that I worked for an American insurance company.
Oh, really?
And I worked for an American insurance company for 10 years. And his name was W. Clemenstone, the founder of that company. And he wrote this book with Napoleon Hill called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, which is PMA, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
had this embedded into my DNA, Think and Grow Rich, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude through the
Right.
90s.
And so I just thought I heard you correctly. Your former boss worked with Napoleon Hill. Is that true?
Well, they wrote a book together.
Okay. Wow.
So if
Wow.
you Google W. Clemenstone, he's passed away now, obviously, because it was through the last 100 years that he grew this business, an insurance company, and he wrote this book with Napoleon Hill, so they co-authored.
That's very impressive. We've said, I can't count how many times we talked about in our conversation about just certain things being a part of your DNA. It's not, I guess it shouldn't be surprising that this book is a part of your DNA and your success model is a part of your DNA if you sprung from the likes of that lineage. That's very powerful.
And having a positive mental attitude, it doesn't mean things aren't going to go wrong. It just means that when
Absolutely.
things do go wrong, as part of your DNA, you sit back and you go, okay, well, what do I need to do about this? Is it something I let go? Is it something that I can turn the narrative around into an advantage or a benefit? And it's that ability to be able to do that so things don't get you down, because things always go wrong. I had it happen plenty of times in business. I had it happen plenty of times personally. And so does everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of business judo is thinking with a positive mental attitude so you can just deal with things better. And that takes practice. It's like a muscle. It needs muscle memory to be able to respond in such a way instead of react. You respond in a positive way instead of just reacting and maybe getting upset. So the book does start with that. attitude, and it finishes with attitude. The third chapter, which is the business of thirds, I did start on that one because I accidentally opened up the book at the wrong chapter. But the business of thirds is the chapter that probably made me the most money. I said that earlier because that's where I taught people to use the ReNet software. It was for all their opportunities in the middle. And nothing's changed. System 1357 is for exactly the same reasons. And you know what? Surprisingly enough, it's even though it's the one that probably made me the most money, it's the one that, and it's Andrew's favorite chapter. It's probably the one most people haven't quite gotten yet. So it's the one that most people haven't gone, hey, that's for me. People like the business judo, people like the time duplication, and people like the rule of 100. And the sugar and cream, you know, it's more of an attitude than a system anyway. So I'll get to that one again in a second. But just to get into the rule of 100, when I ask most people what system do they follow for leadership or sales or business, what checkpoints do they have in their business, most people don't actually have any checkpoints. So I learned in the 90s the checkpoints from building sales teams. And that was the first 100 seconds, the first 100 minutes, the first 100 hours, the first 100 days, the first 100 weeks, and then the first 100 months. And I had those checkpoints for everything. Customers, for team development, for product. I use these checkpoints at all stages in the business. So if you haven't got any checkpoints in your business, when you release something, use those checkpoints to get you over and into the next phase. Because once you get past one checkpoint, you generally make it to the next checkpoint. Or to reverse it for goal setting, instead of it being your checkpoint from now out, it's actually on your way to. So it's the countdown checkpoint. So you can use it that way as well. Now, surprisingly enough, Gabriel Chuang, who's I haven't actually got a photo, but I got a photo of his book. He's got a book and he put it on his hammock. So he sent me a copy of this. But he also helped me write the book over Christmas as well by giving me feedback. Perfect Business Judo. He asked if he could help, and I said, yeah, absolutely. And his favorite chapter was actually that chapter, the rule of 100. In other words, I get it now. I get there's checkpoints that I can implement in business. I can implement that system to get over things and through things. So that was awesome to get that sort of feedback. So the rule of 100 is proving to be a really popular one. The next one that's, I guess, creating the most interest is the sugar and cream. What's the sugar and cream? What's that? What's sugar and cream? Well, this is the one thing that successful people do. They stay sugary, right? They don't get to become the cream. They're always staying motivated, energetic, enthusiastic, and trying to stay stirred up all the time. Okay. And that's what sugary people do. That's what successful people do. They never stop, become the cream, and float to the top. In the book, actually, let me reverse this. How many times have you seen someone from school or when they were young have so much potential, get all the accolades, all the trophies, all the rewards, but not really realize their potential as an adult? It happens, right? Because they became the cream instead of staying sugary. And that's what the sugar and cream attitude's all about. In fact, I talk about Lane Beachley in that chapter. And Lane and I grew up together surfing and competing in the same area, but I didn't know who Lane was because Lane wasn't winning everything. She was always coming in second and third to this other person, right? That other person was always on the podium, always winning everything. And I knew who that one was, but I didn't know who she was. I didn't find out until 2012 when we went to the world titles together. This was the story. I went, wow, that's amazing. Because what she did was she never gave up. She persisted. She got a grit and determination going. And she went on to win 7 world titles and arguably the world's best surfer as far as trophies and awards and recognition goes. And she also set the theme for female surfing that we have today. So it's a whole another story again. But because she stayed sugary. And then I also talk about even if you become the cream like she has, arguably she's the cream of the crop now. But instead of becoming the cream, she's become the spoon. She's out motivating people. She's out stirring people up. She's out creating courses. She's public speaking. She's becoming the spoon. She's not floating to the top, even though she sort of is. She's the cream of the cream, really. But she's still staying sugary herself. She's learning and she's developing skills and motivating others. So she's becoming the cream. becoming the spoon as opposed to becoming the cream. So that attitude is what I'm talking about. That attitude is exactly what I'm talking about. So that's the 5 systems in a nutshell. You know, sugar and cream is the 5th one. The 4th one is the rule of 100, the checkpoints, the business of thirds. Like I said, it's probably where I made the most money. Time duplication is where I set myself up so I didn't have to work in the business all the time because I duplicated myself, the products, and my money. And obviously, business judo is how I started. Got a question here too. What's this one? Where do I find your book, Scotty Schindler? Amazon. Yes, Fanny, it's on Amazon. Unfortunately, I tried to get some publishers, but that wasn't as easy as I thought. And some of them wanted big money. And I went, well, I don't need to spend money to get a, best-selling author name behind myself. I'm just happy if a few people like the book and buy the book. So it's currently on Amazon is the best spot to buy it. So I've self-published. I think they call us an independent publisher. It's an independent publisher on Amazon. So I've got some links on my website too. So you can go to system1357.com, read, and there's some direct links to the book. Or if you search Amazon for 5 systems of successful people, it's there as well. So they're the 5 systems in a nutshell. It's great to hear the chats on the side that people are actually reading it. Who's that left that? Oh, thanks, Erica. Sugar and Crow. We need some new hashtags, do I?
Scotty, I want to jump in and talk about the rule of 100 for a minute, because what I saw when I read that is so many different applications, whether we're talking about customer service, if you're at a restaurant, when they first come and greet you in the table, you start talking about micro 100ths of a second, right? What that exceedingly first impression is. And all the way to onboarding, whether it's new clients or onboarding new employees, setting those check marks at that first 100 seconds, right? The first 2 minutes, or what the first 100 minutes or 2 hours looks like, or 2 weeks, I just really thought there was so much value in how that breaks down. So, we all know that we're supposed to do these things in a certain order, but the rule of 100 really timed it out nicely as you extrapolate it out to a little over 8 years if we're looking at 100 months. So I thought it was such a cool system, man. Such a cool system.
Yeah, and it is proving to be one that most people get and understand. So with things like business judo and time duplication, you actually have to have an action. You have to network, or you have to collaborate. You have to leverage. You have to create a win-win. Does that make sense? You have to have an action, a positive mental action, as well as an attitude. And time duplication, same. But see, with the rule of 100, you don't have to do anything. You just have to know it's there and maximize on those checkpoints. They exist. Whether people maximize on them or not doesn't mean they don't exist. They exist. And the business of thirds is the same. Those rules just apply. So you're perfectly right there, Terry. They exist. You can just tap into them. I mean, I joke about it, but I also write about it in the book, right? The 100-month mark in marriage, they call the 7-year itch. And we've all heard of it, right? Because it's the same thing. There's these checkpoints that people go through. But with clients, we want to keep clients through that first 100 seconds, that first 100 minutes, that first 100 hours, that first 100 days and weeks. And that's the first sort of 2 stages. And then there's the 3rd stage, which is a lot easier. So the first stage up to the first 100 days is where you're busy. Things are happening a lot, whether it's a new staff member, new clients. You're busy in that first stage. And the second stage is a little bit easier. It's about securing them. And the 3rd stage is about opportunities, which I explain a little bit more in the book. So yeah, definitely, it's one that's turning into. So if I talk to Andrew, Sandro liked the rule of 100 as well. So he comes from a technical background, programming, computers, and things like that. So he totally got the rule of 100 checkpoints as well. Any questions from the audience? By all means, you can let us know what you're thinking and what you want to ask. We are totally here for it. And you can also ask a question to any of the panelists too. We all go back a fairly long way. In fact, I saw Joe here. Joe actually recommended the book to a few people which was really cool. And I caught with Joe the other day, and we talk about where we first met and what we. Joe Nippiner said to me, "Do you remember where we first met?" And I said, "No, I don't actually. I thought it was somewhere else, and it wasn't. It was actually in 2018. We met at a networking event, and now 4 years later, this is the wonderful thing about LinkedIn. 4 years later, we're still networking and doing things together and communicating, and it's been so good. So LinkedIn is almost the ultimate networking tool, right? It's almost the ultimate business judo tool. So it is so good. But I saw Jo on here earlier, but she might have had to go because
I'll just jump in there, Scotty, and just on that, I was telling the story to someone yesterday about it wasn't until you did a video, you just launched Success Hubs, and you did a video on LinkedIn talking about it, and you said these words, be a part of something bigger. And I'd been saying to myself, who wants to be part of something bigger? And then it resonated with me, and that's when I said to Sandro, we've got to go up to Sawtell and go and see Scott, and that's what keeps the relationship off, I guess.
Yeah, and that was, I think, pretty sure that was 19, wasn't it? 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever you just opened it.
Yeah, that's right. It was all, we still hadn't furnished it.
Yeah, there was still bits, it was still, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd moved in, but there was still things going on. But anyway, wasn't from there. Be a part of something bigger.
Exactly. Be a part of something bigger. That's the whole point of business judo. Network, collaborate, be a part of something bigger, and utilize it to your advantage, right? Utilize it to your advantage.
Scotty, if you don't mind, because you're saying the idea of be a part of something bigger, what I'd like to do is talk about the win-win and then the third win of what do the stakeholders look like who are part of the third win? If we can break down who those stakeholders might be, that might help the audience develop, who they should be paying attention to. Because of course you want to pay attention to your clients, but what about your clients' clients? What about the people that they affect and in their circle? And so if we could, kind of break down some of those stakeholders, it might help the audience.
Yeah, well, you're 100% right. It's that third layer of whoever it is, and it typically would be, as an analogy, clients at the end of the day. So you and I could collaborate in business. Both our businesses work together, but if we're not keeping the end user happy, well, then obviously it's not going to work, right? It might work to start with. There might even be some good profits in it, but it's not really going to work. Think of a builder who collaborates with a carpenter or a bricklayer or a roofer. If they just want to get in and get the job done as cheaply as possible, but not keep the client happy, then obviously it's going to come back to bite them later on because of quality control issues or having to go back and repair things. So they've got to make sure in all business transactions that you've gone to that extra 10%, that extra 1%, that extra degree. If is everybody in this transaction winning? Is everybody going to get a benefit out of it? And there's not going to be any losses anywhere in this cycle. Does it make sense? So it's more about, as opposed to who, it's about making sure that you have looked at all the stakeholders rather than just the immediate.
So, I mean, you are obviously had, wonderful insight when it comes to real estate. My mind kind of goes like this. In real estate, you have people who are building homes and things of that nature. But what if you thought to yourself, we are building these homes and we're going to sell these homes, but instead of just leaving it like that, we will build a park down at the connection point, and you've thus by created a win-win-win for the whole neighborhood, making your actual homes more attractive because now you have this park.
Yep.
So the neighborhood itself would be the external stakeholder.
Yep.
So when I think of your system win-win-win, I think for the people who are involved to look out as a team and how they can affect something in a really positive way and leverage their success for everyone involved.
Yeah. So can I give you an example of what I did at Renet?
Yes, please.
As an example. So at Renet, I don't know. Yep, you can see that. So here was Renet. What I did was I looked after Remax, the real estate franchise, as a franchise. So at that level, we had to create a win-win between us. Yeah, whatever that agreement was. We had all sorts of things, but we had to make that win. But we also had to look after the real estate franchises, the people that had a Remax franchise, the offices. Does that make sense? So then we had to make sure the offices were looked after. In other words, it went this way, then this way. Then under that, we then had to make sure the salespeople were looked after. Was there a win for them as well? Then we had to look after the homeowner as well, the person selling. We had to make sure there was wins. It was smooth. There was a transaction that was able to happen. So Renet had to do, and then finally, if you can see that, the person who paid the money and bought the house. So we had to make sure the entire transaction from the top all the way down to the bottom was something in there for everybody to be able to leverage and win from. Make the transaction smoother, make it more beneficial, make it less headachy. There had to be a benefit of everybody. So if somewhere along that transaction path, if we broke that somewhere, it wasn't going to work. So it's just that extra, like I said, it's just that extra attention to detail. Now, I'm not saying people don't do that. All I'm saying is that if you make it part of your DNA to assess everything from the top down, all the stakeholders, or I could have just done it from this level, everyone down, and then dealt with the franchise last. I didn't. I treated it equally. Everyone had to win in this cycle. Everybody. There has to be a smooth transaction for everybody when there's buying or selling or listing or marketing a house. And then everyone wins. And I managed to do that quite successfully with the Remax franchise in Australia and New Zealand, by the way. So it's just that extra attention to detail. That's really what it is. I can't say which stakeholder is more important than the others. I can't tell you which one someone might miss more than others. But, it's like, just quickly before you go, it's like Terry talking earlier about a restaurant. And you might be a really good chef and have a really good team, but if you don't treat the customers well, they're not going to last. That's easy to look at that. That's an easy analogy, right? But it's, and it probably doesn't happen to the people we know. But I can tell you I've been to some restaurants where they didn't think I was very valued. So some people don't get it.
I was just going to say, I think that is what makes the difference for when you have a good coach, because a coach can help you come into your business and identify those particular stakeholders. I think perhaps a lot of business owners have difficulty identifying who those stakeholders are and who that second level of win needs to be, all the way down to the final outcome, so to speak. I think that can be difficult of breaking that down of who all you need to include
Yeah,
in
and
your
how are you including them? Are you
yes,
considering them?
who you need to include and how you're considering them is correct. And so I think that's what business coaches help with, and
Yeah,
your system, quite frankly.
yeah. And it's true, and if the elite sports people have a fitness coach and a diet coach and everyone else, well, elite business people should too. And if you want to become elite, you get coached. And when you become elite, you get coached. That's what coaching's all about. Because then you can focus on what you're good at and someone else can come in and just help you with those little peripheral things. You can focus on those 60% of opportunities we talk about with the business of thirds, and they can help just manage your time for all the things you don't need to be thinking about and distractions. They can help go, that's like in surfing, that surfboard, that set of fins, that wax today. They're simple things, that reaffirmation. So when a coach comes along and talks about what are all the layers in your business and how can we make the win with everyone, it just makes your life easier. So coaching does work. Well, I totally agree. You need to surround yourself with a network of people who are helping make you better because they're there.
Absolutely. And then, of course, to jump on the bandwagon of the 100 hours, the 100 days, the 100 months. It's really a very neat system to force you to review yourself. You know, if you don't have natural benchmarks or check marks to review yourself, this system helps that, helps you put one in place. And as you say, it's part of your DNA. If your team already knows that we're going to check ourselves at these particular checkpoints, then it's not like you're having a pop-up review. They know to check themselves. They know to follow up for themselves on this. And that way, when you have this big meeting, it's not like intense or what's wrong. It's not a surprise. Actually, it's an opportunity for us to review what we're doing well and what might we need to chase down so we
Yeah.
can improve upon it.
Yeah, that's right. And with the leadership system that I teach, when we do those catch ups, like no one likes a quarterly review, right? At the 100-day mark,
Right.
no one likes a quarterly review. So what I introduced and I got taught this term was a
Mhm.
PDI. So in the
Mhm.
90s, I started doing personal development interviews instead. And the reason of
Mhm.
those personal development interviews was to get people past these checkpoints to the next checkpoint. Together, we set some new goals for the next one. What are we doing? Where are we going? And it's all about development of people as opposed to reviewing, So it's about development. And that could be self. So if people
Mhm.
understand those checkpoints, just like you said, Erica, self development or developing of other people around you,
Mhm.
you know. And PDIs don't need to be formal like a quarterly review. They can be very informal, like over a coffee. How you going? So yeah, they don't have to be formal. In
Mhm.
fact, that leads me to a question of what's the next book that I write? So this is the 5 systems. There's the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. So the 5's been done. Do I talk about the conditions, actions, needs analysis next? Which is the listening part, which is the analyzing part. And you need to do that really, or do I go into the 1 part where people are more important? People first. What are your goals? Where are you going? What are you doing? So that's the 1, and the 7 is obviously the 7 ways to manage time. So if I was to write the next book in the system, what do you think would be your preferred option?
Hmm.
I think the one that'll be most valuable to the most people will be the 7 for sure, right? The time management. Everybody's running around thinking they're so busy. They don't, like they think we can manage time like we all. It doesn't matter if you're in Australia, if you're in the United States, if you're somewhere in between the two. We still all have the exact same 24 hours, yet some people prioritize exceedingly well and look like they have 42 hours in a day, or others look like they have 3, right? It's still the same 24 hours, man. So the time duplication and leading into that 7 feels really good. I of course agree with you that the 1 is the most important, but maybe we save the best for last, Scotty.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and with the 7, it's like it's probably the most important one, and you notice it's the last in the system too, because time's the last thing we think of. It always is, and ironically, it's the last one in system 1357. So are the busy people that really need to read the book the ones who are going to read the book, or will I write the book? It'll sit there dormant because the people who really need it won't find the time. So it's a conundrum I have in my head, right?
It's the perfect gift that no one will ever read. Is that what you just said? they'll get it, but they won't do
Here's how to
anything
manage
with
your time, but I don't have time to read that. So it's a conundrum. But I do like the 7. I do like the 7 ways to manage time, which is your school teacher hours, your mud mapping, your rule of 10, your 1440, your smarter goals, your extra miler, and your 1 turn. I love those 7, and they totally how I manage time and how I managed to stay married over the journey of owning a company. How I managed to create success. When I married all these systems together, it's actually how I did it. So I love it. I really do want to get that 7 out there. I'm just not sure if it's the right one to be next. So,
You,
yeah,
perhaps if you were going to do the 7, you wouldn't do it in a book in a traditional way because people who have time management issues may not have the time to just sit there and read it. Perhaps, cards, some kind of a flashcard system might really be a great tool for people who are on the time management journey. Because if you can just pick one thing to do and to learn in a day, and just whip it out, this is the card for the day and this is the only thing I'm going to learn. All right, I got it front and back. Here's the quiz question, and now I'm off to the next one. Sometimes that's better.
I found a few of these recently.
Let's see.
I made my own cards in the 90s.
See, there we go.
So I made my own cards in the 90s, right? So I found a few of them. There's a few more somewhere else, but these are just the ones on my desk. So
You've had those
all you need
since
to
the
do,
90s.
Scotty, what you need to do is take those cards and put them in you get the same brand colors as System 1357, and you print them up and do just like Erica suggested.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to do that I could do, but I still enjoy my surfing. So
Wait a minute. So are you telling us we're not going to get these cards because you're surfing?
Got to get him out of the water first.
But look, I am growing the network and I am creating opportunities for other people to become System 1357 coaches as well. So that part's really exciting. And the more that happens, the more I will do things like that, Randy. So yes, you're 100% right. It's a great suggestion and I will get to them. Or if I can create a team, we'll get them done together. So, and that way everyone can leverage off them and we can grow this together.
I'm always I've taught adults for a number of years, and so I'm always thinking of ways how to get the information into the student's brain. Because there's mountains and mountains of information, and quite honestly, although this is a wonderful system, Scotty, you have to get it into your DNA for it to actually work, and so you have to use your muscle memory in order for it to work. And I found making things manageable and taking them into small bites generally really helps create better habits.
Yeah. And you know what I learned over the years? The one thing I learned over the years with all the training, and I've been a trainer now since I was like 21, is it's
Mhm.
repetition,
Repetition,
repetition.
repetition.
It's constantly just repeating it. I'll tell you a funny story. In about 2014 or 13, I was up at Mackay, not important where it is. I'd flown a day up North Queensland. I was doing a training session. This lady came in and she said, "Is this the same training session as last time?" And I said, "Yep." Same software, same trainer, same product, same industry, but the difference is, I said to her, that what you're ready for now is completely different to what you're ready for then. So last time you came, you used those things. This time you come, you're going to learn something new. Is it the same? Yes. But now you're ready for some different things. And that's that repetition, repetition, repetition. So you're right. And how we do that, in fact, there's a good question there from Olivia. Will you offer companion workbook? Yes, I did start on a workbook to go with this. And I just didn't want to hold up on releasing the book for the sake of getting it perfect. And there were so many other things I could do, even with marketing cards and graphics and infographics. I could have done lots of different things to get it to the 10th degree, but I just wanted to get the book live. So over time, in fact, the goal, just so you know, Olivia, is the start of next year is we will have some other things like a companion workbook. So you can work through and think, well, who are all the people in my win-win? You can do it on your own. So yes, that is part of the goals there, Olivia, to create a group of people and together we collectively come up with things like that. The other one you wrote here was, I'm not sure what it is, but an Oracle deck. Anyone want to share what that means? Is that like the cards?
Maybe it's like the cards.
Is that maybe
Oracle
what it is?
deck.
Yeah, I'm not sure. An Oracle deck. I'll have to Google that one. But the plan is to come up with lots of different things, 100%. So, no, I like the idea of lessons, smaller presentations that be shared in meetings, networking events, small. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Small enough for children. It's interesting. Now, who's written a children's book? I know you've done a few books yourselves, guys, as in Randy. None of yours were children's book, were they? And I know yours was about networking, Terry. They weren't children's book, though, were they? No. I know children's books, I've always wanted to write one for teenagers, but same as writing the book about the seven. I'm not sure how many teenagers would actually want to read a business motivational book as teenagers or how to gear it towards them. Because I think there's a lot of people that are teenagers that if they knew what if they knew what they're going to learn when they're 30 or 40, if they knew what that when they were 17 and 18 and leaving school or going through college, they'd have a completely different way of doing it. So what else was there? Oh, yeah. So going back to the one or the three is the can analysis. And that's the one thing that people need to stop and take their time and listen, look, listen and feel in their business. They need to do a SWOT analysis, whatever you want to call it. They need to stop and look and make sure there is the right conditions, the right actions, the right needs. That's what the three's about. And it's important people actually stop and do that. And that helps them with their goal setting and everything else. It was probably going to be the last book I write, but it's probably actually the most important book. And in business, it's probably the one most people would probably relate to the most, as in making sure they set themselves up right. So I'm not sure what you guys think about the can analysis, which is the three. What do you think of that?
Mhm. Why do you think that's the most important again?
Because most people can get active and take action and do all sorts of things, right? They can go, okay, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, which is number one, set some goals and do all those things. I think a lot of people are self-motivated, but making sure they've got a proper business model, they've actually looked at the conditions of the marketplace and the product, they've done the actions of the people, what are they doing, and then looking at what they need, or can I create a need? They haven't actually, they've sort of skipped a bit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they're just working and they're busy now. They're busy, but they've, I actually do some work now with an entrepreneur facilitator program, and the amount of people that come in and haven't done a proper conditions, actions, needs analysis is like, well, there's the reason why you're not making any money. It looks like there's an opportunity, but there really isn't. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
passionate. I'm passionate about this industry. Okay, so do you want to be passionate or get paid? If you want to get paid, you have to do a can analysis first, and go, well, where are the business opportunities?
I think that one ties in so nicely with the sales book too, right? From a can analysis as the beginning part of a sales call is about as important of a thing as you can get. So would you write those kind of side by side?
The sales book, a good question. The sales book is so easy for me to do. I feel like it's just something I've been doing for so long. It's just so easy for me to deliver that it's almost elementary. It's what's the point? It's so simple for me. But every time I do a sales course, people themselves have those aha moments of, oh, now I get it. Now I know how to do a presentation or how to have a conversation or how to close. So the sales book would be parallel. So it's part of the system 1357, just so everyone knows. On the back of the spine here, there's an S and a 5 on this one. So it spells out in the end the word system 1357 on the spine. And the SYST is the 1357, and the E and the M gets into the sales and the entrepreneurship. So yes, it will be in parallel with and part of the actual series. A good question. And I actually think that might even be my next book, because a lot of people get it. If there's one thing I ask people what they want to do, it's increase their sales. And Olivia, hey, it'd be great to have you on the team. Be awesome. That would be sensational. We should catch up. No problems. After this call, we'll reach out. First things first, hey? Yeah, all over it. So the Oracle, she's answered it here. What is it? The Oracle Tarot Tech. So I guess that's similar to this. I'm going to have to Google that one, or you can help me out with that.
They're like affirmation cards. I think positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's make my head big.
Scotty, I have to say, everyone likes the cards idea. Everyone's loving it.
Yeah, well, I do too.
Yeah.
So that's it. Maybe that'll be my next step, creating cards.
Yes, absolutely.
I made my own, just so you know. Like, I'm not that smart, right? In the 90s, I got given this set. I spoke earlier about W. Clemenstone, right? And he made these things, all right?
It's like going through a time capsule here, Scotty. This is awesome.
So these things were what we had, right? And these were designed so we could stay motivated and knowledgeable and all sorts of things, right? So, there was all sorts of things in here. So I made my own, that's all. So, yeah, it's like going through a time capsule. You're right, Randy.
But the reason why you still have those things is because they work.
They work. Yeah. So I've just got a modern spin on all the things I learned and my own spin. with time
That's a
duplication.
beautiful thing. That's why you need to make the cards that are yours, the System 1357 cards. This so we can get all the Schindlerisms in there.
The Schindlerisms. I like that.
Hashtag Scotty says.
Yeah.
I
What were you
love
gonna say,
that.
Ben?
Hashtag Scotty says. Love that.
G'day, Rob.
Yeah, I'm just about to introduce Rob. So Rob is another person I've been working with for a long time. So Rob's from Canada. So let me introduce Rob. Hey, Rob, how you going?
Hey, I wondered which one you were going to. I see Rob from Ottawa here too. So.
Yeah, I saw Rob there, and it's a different Rob.
Different Rob, yeah.
There you go, Rob.
I haven't got over there yet.
Rob
It is Rob as
Stratton,
well.
Rob
Yeah,
Stratton.
sorry.
Yeah. Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good to have you on deck. And I'll just share a little photo that I got of you too while I'm here. So where is it? Here it is. Is it coming up? There it is. Whoop. Do it again.
Yeah, it popped up. Yeah. Look
There
at
it
that,
is.
eh?
So I was saying earlier that people have been buying the book from all over the world. And that's USA, Canada, India, UK, and Australia. So, so you're one of the Canadian orders that bought the book. So thank you very much.
Well, hey, like you said, we've been chatting for quite a long time, and I said in a post today that I've sort of been becoming familiar with all of these systems since well before the book. So it makes perfect sense that you finally did decide to put it into a book, and congrats! I'm glad it's going really well for you.
Yeah, well, it's a lot better that people are buying it than not buying it.
Well, of course, yeah, of course.
It's like you teach people video, and videos, like the most popular chapter is proving to be chapter 2. And video production for courses or for evergreen content, I think it was Erica that mentioned that earlier. Video production is one of the things that I talk about with time duplication, duplicating products, saying something once, but being able to use it over and over again. So video production is such an important part of that. And you'd know because you're an expert at it.
Well, it really works wonders, and especially in the age of social media, there's certain platforms that are better than others for video, of course. And when you're talking about evergreen, YouTube is the king, I think, at the moment. But you look at people exploding on places like TikTok and Instagram Reels. YouTube's got a shorts format now. This short, less than a minute vertical video seems to be the way things are going lately. And it's just amazing. People are getting some tremendous traction with it. So,
yeah, cool. I got a friend who makes videos on YouTube, and it's his full-time living. And his channel is called Uncle Knackers, and he just does do it yourself for knuckleheads or something. And he's got 320,000 subscribers. He makes a video every 2 weeks and puts it up, and that's his full-time living. And he's still getting paid from a video he did like 7 years ago, which was how to clean your toilet or how to unblock your toilet.
Yeah.
Scotty,
Amazing.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on tonight. I've got to jump off, as I indicated in our private chat. I've got to jump off and do an activity with my son. But congratulations. This is fantastic. I look forward to the next book, whichever one it is, because whatever you write it on, it's going to be awesome. So I'm totally confident in that.
And thanks so much, Randy. You did get a cameo at the start for helping me do the editing and giving me feedback on the book when I asked for it. So I did put it out there on LinkedIn and said, who would like to help? And you said yes. So thank you very much, mate, for your help. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Enjoy
See
your
you, Randy.
time.
See you, Randy.
Cheers.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, Randy.
Yeah, so YouTube is an important part of people's business nowadays. I'm not sure how they make money out of TikTok. Do they get advertising revenue or something off that, or is that how it works?
Yeah, for the most part, right now it's the influencer model, so it's sponsorship ads and
Sponsorship,
things.
okay.
So
The old endorsements,
for sure.
traditional.
Yeah, I think YouTube's a better long-term model myself. Because let's face it, we've talked about this before. YouTube is owned by Google, so it's just a giant search engine. If you optimize your video and your title and your tags and your description, you can have a video like your buddies there that's lived for years and years and continues to make money. So I think That's a
Well,
good way to look at it for sure.
The one thing I try to talk about is having multiple streams of income. So multiple streams, and the more you can lay more income on top of income. So in other words, time duplication, duplicating your money, the more it works. And not everything's going to work. So if you go back to the business of thirds model, not every video that Uncle Knackers does is going to be a huge hit, but the ones that work really are. And video is such an important part of duplication nowadays, and that could be also podcasts or books. Duplication can be done in so many different ways. What was the Oracle cards? They can be done in so many different ways. Yeah. Well, you've got your book there, so.
Yeah, I was looking, yours is bigger than mine, so I might have to write another one.
We used to joke in the office about who had the biggest screen, right? So hold up your book again. Give it a plug.
That's the On-Camera Confidence Handbook.
Yeah, perfect. That's why I didn't put a photo of myself on there, because I didn't want to have hair then no hair, because last week I had hair, right? Now I don't have any.
Well, you could have. I've got a little bit too much happening here, so I could donate some.
There's never such a thing, Rob. Don't worry about too much hair. It's not an issue, bro.
Not
you try
jealous
to
at all.
comb through it, right?
All right, everyone. Look, well, it's been an hour. I think it's been an hour. What time have we got? I said I'd do about an hour. It's been an hour and 7, so I've actually gone overtime, which was perfect because that meant Rob could jump on at the end. Just finally, Rob, though, I'm figuring your favorite chapter is time duplication, but what is your favorite chapter?
Yeah, time duplication for me, for sure. Yeah. It's something I try to do. It's still the whole idea of investing your time into something that's going to keep creating for you, right? So, and doing that work while you're not physically hands-on doing the work.
100%. And you even started online courses, Strata School or
Strata School. There's a bunch. We've got some partners involved in that. So it's kind of some niche stuff, holistic living models. So we run the gamut with different areas of life and different courses involved in that. So strataschool.com. And that is kind of running itself a little bit at the moment, which is nice. And working on some new things that are coming up here in the summer. So.
Perfect. And we had our first snowfall here, by the way.
Yeah, you
Not
guys.
where I live, but in Australia. So, you guys get over it. We can't wait to get some, We're not always going to get it every year. This year we got lots of it so far.
Yeah, we're just getting out of it here. So, I guess that's how it goes, eh? Good for you guys. That's we're happy to see it go by this time. By the end of May, we're done with it for sure.
I don't know. So
Rob,
one last thing as we wrap up. Yeah, sorry, what's that?
I was saying, Rob, where are you? Where are you, Rob?
I'm in Calgary, in Western Canada.
Ah, I see. Okay. I was wondering, where is it that it snowed in May?
It has snowed every month of the year here. It never stays, but it has happened.
Wow.
Well, let's wrap up. Let's all everyone give a quick pitch on who they are, what they do, and how people can find out more about them, and then we'll wrap it up. So I might start with who came on first. We'll start with Andrew.
Good day, everyone. So we run the Core Success Network. It's morphed and chopped and changed, and credit to System 1357. It's kept us going and collaborating and building opportunities. So we've got a co-work space in the northern suburbs of Sydney here, and we're just building a community to come together, collaborate. Core. So core work is collaboration, opportunities, relationships, and events. That's what we're doing here.
Perfect. Excellent. And you're from Sydney, Australia, right?
Sydney, Australia, yes.
Just so everyone knows.
Sit on E.
All right, Terry.
Hey, I'm outside of Detroit, Michigan. As I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of relationship marketing. I do that as a consultant. Sometimes I do it as a trainer or a coach. And every once in a while I get up and someone sticks a mic in my hand and they just let me rattle on about it. Relationship marketing to me is developing the relationships you need to grow, whether it's your business, your mindset, or just your overall persona. So, when Scotty starts talking about the one, that's going to be my favorite system, because there's nothing more important than the 7 inches between our ears. So I always think of that as the one in the first one. So I'm excited to see what you do next, Scotty. I'm here for it, bud.
Yeah, sweet.
Thank you for having me.
Be great to have you on the team. Erica.
The most important thing that I'm working on right now is my global global positive masculinity campaign, and it is to highlight the things that are intrinsically wonderful about men beyond being a provider, protector, and a protector. Men are committing suicide at a 22x rate more than women, and I don't think that that should be go unnoticed. And so I think that highlighting what men are doing well and how they're working through their concerns is really important. So on June 18th at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm having a virtual summit, and I hope you join me.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's such an important topic, that one, hey?
Mm-hmm. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Be good to be a part of it. And Rob.
Hey, well, thanks for this. I know I was late to the party, but as you alluded to, I do video coaching. We're actually expanding some stuff, and that's what's coming in the summer. So we're going to be doing video, audio, and stage presentation coaching too. And that will all appear at robertdeptford.com. I'm hoping next week. So we'll see how that unfolds. But that's the target anyway. Otherwise, some online courses, you said, at strataschool.com. You mentioned that. And yeah, working away. So
Awesome. And one day I'll get over to Canada for sure to catch up for a beer. There's a heap of...
We will. Yeah. Come in the winter, we'll ski.
Oh, yeah. Although my wife wants to go in summer.
Oh, that works too. Yeah.
Maybe we just do 6 months. Anyway.
Who's winter and who's summer?
Well, I could do both, to tell you the truth, but I'd like surfing as well as snowboarding. So, there's not much surf in Canada.
No, not here anyway.
No, there is on Vancouver Island, but it's really cold too.
Yeah, so. Tofino, yeah.
So we'll wrap up. But look, everyone, do yourself a favor. Grab a copy of the 5 Systems of Successful People: Business Judo, Time Duplication, Business Thirds, Rule of 100, and Sugar and Cream. The 5 systems that will help you out. And every time you do buy a copy of the book, you basically buy me a coffee or a beer. So, so thank you very much for buying me a coffee or beer. But more importantly, I want you to be able to use and take action of what's in this book. And if you do like it, the next thing you need to do is start teaching the systems to other people. Because the more you teach these systems, the more you will learn and understand yourself. Okay, so yes, learn, recognize, relate, assimilate, take action. So, and then start teaching them to everyone you possibly can, because that's when you'll really get a hold of the book and how the systems work and get that good understanding. So thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for coming to the book launch party. We did have a lot of people online. There was people from everywhere that were online and having a look around, and plenty of chat, which was awesome. So thank you very much for being a guest to the party. I did send it out last minute. It was like yesterday I went, I'm just going to do it now. And ready or not, let's just get it live, right? And we did. So thanks everyone for coming. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll wrap up.
No, all good here.
All good. Well done.
All right, everyone. Thanks heaps for that.
Thank you for having me.
I'll end the stream.
All right.
See you later.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye for now.